What if I told you that there's one specific mindset that makes men completely change how they respond to older women? Not makeup, not surgery, not pretending to be someone you're not, but a psychological shift so powerful that it transforms every interaction you have. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share will challenge everything you think you know about attraction and age. Before we dive in, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how some women seem to effortlessly attract men regardless of their age, while others struggle despite being conventionally attractive? The difference isn't what you might think. It's not about looking younger or competing with women half your age. It's about something far more powerful and completely within your control. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the exact mindset that creates this magnetic effect. We'll explore the psychology behind why men respond differently to women who embody this particular way of thinking, backed by research from relationship psychologists and real-world examples. You'll discover practical strategies to develop this mindset, common mistakes that sabotage your efforts, and step-by-step exercises you can start using today. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to position yourself as the most compelling woman in any room, regardless of your age. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive into the psychology that changes everything. Chapter 1. The psychology behind age and attraction. Let's start with a fundamental truth that might surprise you. The idea that men only want younger women is one of the biggest myths in modern dating. While it's true that visual attraction plays a role in initial interest, sustained attraction, the kind that leads to meaningful relationships, operates on completely different principles. Research conducted by Dr. Helen Fisher, an anthropologist, at Rutgers University reveals that men's attraction patterns are far more complex than popular culture suggests. Her studies show that while men might initially notice physical attributes, what keeps them engaged long-term are psychological factors: confidence, emotional stability, life experience, and what she calls self-possession. But here's where it gets interesting. The same research indicates that older women often possess these psychological attractors in greater abundance than their younger counterparts. So why do some older women struggle with dating while others seem to have men gravitating toward them effortlessly? The answer lies in mindset. Specifically, it's about how you perceive yourself and your value in the dating marketplace. Women who struggle often operate from what psychologists call a scarcity mindset. They believe their options are limited because of their age, and this belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. On the flip side, women who attract men easily operate from what we call the abundance mindset. They understand that their age isn't a liability, it's an asset. They recognize that their life experience, emotional maturity, and hard-won wisdom make them more attractive, not less. Dr. John Gottman's research on relationship success backs this up. His studies show that relationships where both partners are emotionally mature and self-aware have significantly higher success rates. Older women who embrace their maturity rather than fight against it naturally embody these qualities. But there's a crucial distinction here. This isn't about arrogance or pretending you don't care about finding love. It's about understanding your inherent value and not allowing society's ageist messages to diminish your self-worth. When you truly believe you have something valuable to offer, and you do, that confidence becomes palpable to others. Think about the most magnetic women you know, regardless of their age. What do they have in common? They're comfortable in their own skin. They don't apologize for who they are or try to be someone else. They have interests, passions, and a life that doesn't revolve around finding a man. This isn't a strategy or a technique. It's a genuine way of being that naturally attracts others. The neuroscience behind this is fascinating. When you operate from a place of genuine self-worth, your brain produces different chemical signals. You carry yourself differently, your voice changes, your eye contact becomes more direct, and you unconsciously signal confidence through hundreds of micro-expressions and body language cues. Men pick up on these signals immediately, often without consciously realizing it. Their brains are wired to respond to confidence and self-assurance as indicators of genetic fitness and emotional stability. This is evolutionary psychology at work. We're attracted to partners who seem capable and self-sufficient because they're more likely to be good long-term mates. Chapter 2. Research on what men really want. Let's dig deeper into what men actually want in relationships, because the reality might surprise you. A comprehensive study by Match.com involving over 5,000 singles across different age groups revealed some fascinating insights about male preferences that contradict popular assumptions. When asked about their ideal partner, men over 35 consistently ranked emotional maturity, life experience, and knowing herself among the top 5 most important qualities. Physical appearance, while still a factor, ranked significantly lower than psychological attributes. This pattern became even more pronounced for men over 45, where wisdom and emotional intelligence topped the list. Dr. Eli Finkel, a relationship researcher at Northwestern University, conducted longitudinal studies tracking couples over decades. His findings show that men in successful long-term relationships consistently report being most attracted to their partner's self-assurance and independence. Interestingly, this attraction actually increased over time rather than decreased. But here's the key insight. The women who embodied these attractive qualities weren't trying to be attractive. They were simply living authentically and pursuing their own interests and goals. The attraction was a byproduct, not the primary objective. Another study by researchers at the University of Texas found that men interpret certain behaviors very differently depending on the mindset behind them. For example, when a woman shows interest in a man because she genuinely finds him appealing and chooses to spend time with him, men find this incredibly attractive. However, when that same behavior stems from desperation or fear of being alone, men instinctively withdraw. This explains why the same action, texting first, planning dates, or expressing interest, can either draw a man closer or push him away. It's not about the behavior itself, it's about the energy and intention behind it. Research by Dr. Arthur Aaron on romantic attraction reveals that men are most drawn to women who have what he calls an expanded self-concept. Women who have a rich inner life, diverse interests, and don't need a relationship to feel complete. This directly contradicts the common advice to play hard to get or use manipulation tactics. The most compelling finding comes from a study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. Researchers found that people who are genuinely content with their lives, regardless of their relationship status, are rated as significantly more attractive by potential partners. This effect was particularly strong for women over 40, suggesting that maturity combined with life satisfaction creates a powerful attractive force. What does this mean practically? It means that working on yourself, not to attract a man, but because you deserve a fulfilling life, is the most effective way to become more attractive. When you're genuinely happy and fulfilled, you radiate an energy that draws people to you naturally. Men can sense when a woman is whole and complete on her own versus when she's looking for someone to fill a void. The former is incredibly attractive. The latter triggers their instinct to maintain distance to avoid being overwhelmed by neediness. This research consistently shows that the most attractive quality you can possess is being genuinely happy with who you are and where you're going in life. Everything else, the techniques, the strategies, the dating advice, becomes secondary when you embody this fundamental truth. Chapter 3. The power of self-possession. Self-possession is perhaps the most powerful attractive force you can cultivate, yet it's the least understood. When we talk about self-possession, we're not talking about being cold, aloof, or emotionally unavailable. We're talking about having a secure sense of self that doesn't waver based on external circumstances or other people's opinions. Think about the women you admire most, whether they're celebrities, leaders in your community, or friends. They likely share this quality of self-possession. They know who they are and what they stand for, and they don't apologize for taking up space in the world. This isn't about perfection, it's about authenticity and self-acceptance. Dr. Brené Brown's research on vulnerability and shame reveals that people who live with self-possession have done the work to understand and accept themselves, including their flaws and imperfections. Paradoxically, this makes them more attractive, not less, because authenticity is magnetic. In the context of dating and relationships, self-possession manifests in several ways. First, you don't lose yourself in relationships. You maintain your interests, friendships, and goals regardless of your relationship status. You're not constantly trying to mold yourself into what you think someone else wants. Second, you have clear boundaries and you maintain them kindly but firmly. You don't accept disrespectful behavior because you value yourself too much to tolerate it. You're not desperately trying to hold on to any relationship. You're only interested in relationships that add value to your already fulfilling life. Third, you make decisions based on your own values and desires, not on what you think will make someone else like you more. You dress in a way that makes you feel confident, pursue activities that genuinely interest you, and speak your mind respectfully but honestly. Men find this incredibly attractive because it signals several important things. It shows that you're emotionally stable and unlikely to become clingy or possessive. It demonstrates that you have good judgment and strong character. Most importantly, it indicates that if you choose to be with them, it's because you genuinely want to be, not because you need to be. The neuroscience behind self-possession is fascinating. When you operate from a place of self-acceptance and inner stability, your nervous system remains regulated even in stressful social situations. This calm, centered energy is something others can feel, even if they can't articulate what they're sensing. Contrast this with someone who's anxiously trying to be liked or constantly monitoring others' reactions to adjust their behavior accordingly. This creates a different energy, one that can feel needy or unpredictable to others, even when that's not the intention. Developing self-possession isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming comfortable with who you are, including your imperfections. It's about having your own back, speaking to yourself with kindness, and not abandoning yourself to gain others' approval. This is particularly powerful for older women because you have decades of life experience to draw from. You've survived challenges, made mistakes, learned lessons, and developed wisdom. When you own this journey rather than apologizing for it, you embody a kind of strength that's deeply attractive. Self-possession also means being selective. You don't try to appeal to everyone because you understand that not everyone is meant for you, and that's perfectly fine. You're looking for quality connections with people who appreciate and value what you bring to the table. Chapter 4. Confidence versus desperation. The fine line. Understanding. The difference between confidence and desperation is crucial because they can sometimes look similar on the surface but create completely opposite effects. This distinction becomes even more important as we age because societal messages can push us toward desperate behaviors disguised as confidence. True confidence comes from within. It's quiet, steady, and doesn't need external validation to sustain itself. Confident women make decisions based on their own judgment, pursue their interests regardless of whether others approve, and are genuinely comfortable being alone. They don't need constant reassurance or attention to feel good about themselves. Desperation, on the other hand, is confidence's shadow. It's loud, unstable, and constantly seeking external validation. Desperate behavior stems from fear. Fear of being alone, fear of not being good enough, and fear of running out of time. Even when it looks confident on the outside, it carries an energy of neediness that others can sense. Here's how these differences play out in dating scenarios. A confident woman might text a man she's interested in because she genuinely wants to connect with him. She sends the message and then goes about her day, not obsessively checking for a response. If he responds, great. If not, she doesn't take it personally or create stories about what it means. A desperate woman might send the same text, but her energy around it is completely different. She's texting because she needs validation, not because she genuinely wants to connect. She checks her phone constantly, analyzes his response time, and feels anxious if he doesn't respond quickly. She might even send follow-up messages to try to provoke a response. The actual behavior might be identical, but the energy behind it is completely different, and men pick up on this energy immediately. They can sense when someone needs something from them versus when someone is simply choosing to engage with them. Confidence in older women often looks like embracing your age and experience rather than trying to compete with younger women on their terms. It's wearing clothes that flatter your current body rather than trying to dress like someone half your age. It's talking about your life experiences with pride rather than apologizing for having lived. Desperation often manifests as trying too hard to appear young, relevant, or desirable. It might look like constantly mentioning your age defensively, using outdated slang to seem current, or dramatically changing your appearance to look younger. These behaviors signal insecurity rather than confidence. One of the most common ways desperation disguises itself as confidence is through what I call aggressive availability. This is when women make themselves completely available to any man who shows interest, cancelling plans with friends, rearranging their schedule constantly, or dropping everything at a moment's notice. They think this shows how interested and confident they are, but it actually signals that they don't value their own time or have anything important going on in their lives. True confidence maintains boundaries around your time and energy. You're interested and responsive, but you also have a life that doesn't revolve around dating. You make time for someone you're genuinely interested in, but you don't abandon your other commitments or interests. Another crucial difference is how you handle rejection or lack of interest. Confident women take it in stride. They understand that not everyone is meant for them, and they don't take rejection as a reflection of their worth. They might feel disappointed, but they don't spiral into self-doubt or immediately start trying to change themselves to be more appealing. Desperate women take rejection personally and often respond by either trying harder to win the person over or becoming bitter and defensive. They might analyze what went wrong obsessively or immediately jump to the next potential partner without processing their emotions. The good news is that confidence can be developed even if it doesn't come naturally. It starts with building a life you genuinely enjoy, independent of your relationship status. When you have interests, goals, and relationships that fulfill you, you approach dating from a position of strength rather than need. Chapter 5. The Scarcity versus Abundance Mindset. The difference between scarcity and abundance mindsets might be the most crucial factor determining your success in dating, especially as an older woman. These mindsets shape every interaction you have and determine whether you attract or repel potential partners. A scarcity mindset operates from the belief that there aren't enough good men, that your options are limited because of your age, and that you need to settle for less than what you want or deserve. Women operating from scarcity often feel like they're running out of time, competing with younger women, or that they need to grab onto any decent man who shows interest. This mindset creates a cascade of unattractive behaviors. You might find yourself saying yes to dates with men you're not really interested in because beggars can't be choosers. You might tolerate disrespectful behavior because you're afraid this is the best you can do. You might present a false version of yourself because you don't believe the real you is good enough. An abundance mindset, conversely, operates from the belief that there are plenty of quality men who would be lucky to be with you. You understand that your age brings wisdom, experience, and emotional maturity that many men find incredibly attractive. You know that the right person will appreciate exactly who you are. This doesn't mean being unrealistic or entitled. It means recognizing your actual value and not settling for relationships that don't serve you. Women with an abundance mindset are selective because they understand they deserve to be with someone who truly appreciates them. Here's how these mindsets play out practically. A woman with a scarcity mindset might stay in a relationship with someone who doesn't treat her well because she's afraid she won't find anyone else. She might compromise her values, ignore red flags, or try to convince someone to love her. A woman with an abundance mindset ends relationships that don't serve her even when it's scary. She trusts that by maintaining her standards, she creates space for someone better to enter her life. She doesn't try to convince anyone to be with her because she knows the right person won't need convincing. The energy difference is palpable. A scarcity mindset creates an energy of desperation and need that pushes people away. Even when you're trying to hide it, people can sense when you're operating from fear and lack. This energy makes men feel like they're being hunted rather than chosen. An abundance mindset creates an energy of calm confidence that draws people in. When you genuinely believe you have options and you're choosing someone rather than just hoping they'll choose you, that energy is incredibly attractive. Men feel honored to be chosen by someone who clearly has other options. Developing an abundance mindset requires shifting your focus from what you lack to what you have to offer. Instead of thinking about how many good years you have left, think about the wisdom, stability, and depth you've gained. Instead of worrying about your age, celebrate the self-knowledge and confidence that come with experience. It also means expanding your definition of what's possible. Maybe you haven't met the right person yet, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. Maybe your past relationships didn't work out, but that doesn't mean you're unlovable. Maybe dating feels different at your age, but that doesn't mean it has to be worse. An abundance mindset also recognizes that being single is not a consolation prize. You can have a full, rich, meaningful life regardless of your relationship status. When you truly believe this, not just intellectually, but in your bones, you approach dating from a position of strength. This is perhaps the most attractive quality you can possess. Being genuinely happy and fulfilled whether you're in a relationship or not. When men sense that you want to be with them but don't need to be with them, it's incredibly appealing. They feel chosen rather than needed, and that makes all the difference. Practical exercises for developing an abundance mindset include gratitude, practices focused on what you bring to relationships, visualization exercises, imagining positive dating outcomes, and surrounding yourself with people who see your value. It also means consuming media and content that celebrates women of all ages rather than reinforcing ageist stereotypes. Chapter 6. Body language. That commands respect. Your body language communicates more about your mindset than your words ever could. Research shows that 55% of communication is body language, 38% is tone of voice, and only 7% is the actual words you use. This means that regardless of what you're saying, your body is telling the real story about how you feel about yourself and your worth. Women who embody the attractive mindset we've been discussing carry themselves differently. They have what researchers call expansive posture. They take up space unapologetically. Their shoulders are back, their heads are held high, and they move with purpose and grace. This isn't about being aggressive or masculine. It's about owning your presence in the world. Contrast this with women operating from scarcity or insecurity. They often exhibit what psychologists call contractive posture. Hunched shoulders, downward gaze, fidgeting, or trying to make themselves as small as possible. Even if they're saying confident things, their body language is communicating insecurity and self-doubt. Let's break down the specific elements of body language that command respect and create attraction. First is your posture. Stand tall with your shoulders back and down. Imagine a string pulling you up from the crown of your head. This immediately makes you look more confident and approachable. When you sit, avoid curling into yourself. Sit up straight and take up the appropriate amount of space. Eye contact is crucial. Confident women make direct eye contact without staring aggressively. They're comfortable looking into someone's eyes when speaking and listening. They don't constantly look away or down, which can signal shame or insecurity. Good eye contact communicates that you're present, interested, and have nothing to hide. Your walk tells a story about how you feel about yourself. Confident women walk with purpose, even when they're not in a hurry. They don't shuffle or try to move invisibly through the world. They walk like they belong wherever they are, because they do. Hand gestures and movement should be deliberate rather than nervous. Avoid fidgeting, playing with your hair excessively, or other self-soothing behaviors that signal anxiety. When you gesture, make it purposeful and expressive rather than repetitive or distracting. Your facial expression should be open and approachable. This doesn't mean forcing a smile constantly, but rather having a relaxed, pleasant expression that invites interaction. Confident women don't look angry, scared, or closed off by default. Personal space is another crucial element. Confident women respect both their own and others' personal space. They don't shrink away when someone approaches, but they also don't invade others' space inappropriately. They're comfortable with appropriate physical proximity and don't seem skittish or overly eager for physical contact. Voice and tone, while technically not body language, work in conjunction with your physical presence. Confident women speak clearly and at an appropriate volume. They don't mumble, speak too quietly, or rush through their words. They take up auditory space just as they take up physical space. Now, here's what's particularly important for older women. Your body language should reflect self-acceptance, not apology. Don't try to hide your age through your posture or movement. Don't hunch over to seem smaller or move tentatively as if you're taking up space you don't deserve. Your decades of life experience should be reflected in confident, purposeful movement. Avoid self-deprecating gestures like constantly touching your face, neck, or hair in ways that draw attention to areas you're insecure about. Instead, move with the grace and confidence that comes from accepting and appreciating your body as it is now. The goal isn't to seem younger through your body language, it's to seem comfortable and confident in your own skin. This is incredibly attractive regardless of age. When you move like someone who values herself, others pick up on that energy and value you accordingly. Practice these elements until they become natural. Start by focusing on one aspect at a time. Maybe posture for a week, then eye contact the next week. Eventually, confident body language will become your default mode, and you'll notice how differently people respond to you. Chapter 7. Conversation techniques. That captivate, the way you communicate reveals everything about your mindset and directly impacts how others perceive and respond to you. Women who embody the attractive mindset we've been discussing have mastered the art of conversation in ways that draw people in rather than push them away. The foundation of captivating conversation is genuine curiosity about others combined with comfort sharing your own thoughts and experiences. This creates a dynamic exchange rather than an interview or a monologue. You're interested in learning about the other person, but you're also confident enough to contribute meaningfully to the conversation. Let's start with the art of asking questions. Confident women ask questions because they're genuinely interested in the answers, not because they're trying to keep the conversation going out of nervousness. They ask follow-up questions that show they're actually listening, not just waiting for their turn to talk. For example, instead of asking, "What do you do for work?" and then immediately moving to the next topic, you might ask, "What drew you to that field?" Or, "What's the most interesting project you've worked on recently?" These questions invite deeper sharing and show that you're paying attention to their responses. However, captivating conversation isn't just about asking good questions. It's also about sharing appropriately about yourself. Women operating from confidence don't deflect every question back to the other person or act like they have nothing interesting to contribute. They share stories, opinions, and experiences that reveal who they are. The key is sharing from a place of self-possession rather than seeking validation. You're not sharing to get approval or to prove how interesting you are. You're sharing because it's part of natural conversation flow and because you're comfortable being known. This is particularly important for older women who often have rich life experiences to draw from. Don't apologize for your stories or preface them with disclaimers about your age. Your experiences are part of what makes you interesting and attractive. Share them with the same confidence you'd share any other aspect of yourself. Avoid common conversation mistakes that signal insecurity or desperation. Don't dominate the conversation with complaints about dating, your ex-partners, or how hard it is to meet good men. Don't constantly ask for reassurance about your appearance, age, or desirability. Don't overshare personal information too quickly in an attempt to create intimacy. Instead, focus on topics that showcase your interests, passions, and personality. Talk about books you've read, places you've traveled, projects you're working on, or causes you care about. Show your sense of humor, your intelligence, and your zest for life. Learn to be comfortable with conversational pauses. Confident women don't feel compelled to fill every silence with chatter. They're comfortable with moments of quiet and don't interpret them as signs that the conversation isn't going well. Pay attention to your tone of voice. Confident women speak with warmth and enthusiasm when discussing things they care about. They don't speak in monotone or sound bored with their own lives. If you don't sound interested in your own life, why would someone else be? Master the art of playful banter. This doesn't mean being sarcastic or mean-spirited, but rather engaging in light, fun exchanges that show your personality. Confident women can tease gently and receive teasing without becoming defensive or hurt. Know how to disagree respectfully. You don't have to agree with everything someone says to be likable. In fact, having your own opinions and being able to express them thoughtfully is attractive. The key is disagreeing without becoming argumentative or dismissive. Be present in conversations. Put away your phone, make eye contact, and actually listen to what the other person is saying. So many people are having surface-level conversations while mentally preparing their next response. When you're truly present, it's noticeable and appreciated. Finally, know how to end conversations gracefully. Confident women don't cling to interactions that have run their natural course. They can wrap up conversations warmly and leave people wanting more rather than overstaying their welcome. Chapter 8. Real-life success stories and examples. Let me share some real-life examples of how this mindset transformation works in practice. These stories illustrate the principles we've discussed and show how women of different ages have successfully embodied this attractive mindset. Names have been changed for privacy, but these are real experiences from real women. Sarah, 52, had been divorced for 3 years and felt like her dating life was over. She'd been focusing on trying to look younger, spending thousands on anti-aging treatments, and constantly apologizing for her age on dates. She was attracting men, but they were either significantly older than she preferred or seemed to view her as a temporary option rather than a serious partner. The transformation began when Sarah stopped focusing on hiding her age and started embracing her life experience. Instead of trying to compete with younger women on their terms, she began highlighting what made her unique. Her travel experiences from 2 decades of business trips, her expertise in her professional field, and her hard-won wisdom about relationships and life. She changed how she talked about herself. Instead of saying, "I know I'm not as young as I used to be," but she started saying things like, "One advantage of being where I am in life is..." She stopped apologizing for her experiences and started celebrating them. The result was dramatic. Within 6 months, she was dating a 49-year-old entrepreneur who was specifically attracted to her maturity and life experience. He told her he was tired of dating women who didn't know themselves yet and found her self-awareness incredibly appealing. They've been together for 2 years now. Then there's Maria, 58, who had always been the type to lose herself in relationships. She would immediately start planning her life around any man she dated, abandoning her own interests and friendships. This pattern had led to a series of unsatisfying relationships where she felt taken for granted. After her last breakup, Maria decided to focus on building a life she loved, regardless of her relationship status. She joined a hiking group, started taking art classes, and rekindled friendships she'd neglected. She wasn't doing this to meet men. She was doing it because she wanted a fuller life. The mindset shift happened gradually. As Maria became more engaged with her own life, she stopped being desperate to couple up with any available man. She became more selective, not because she was playing hard to get, but because she genuinely had other things going on that mattered to her. When she did meet someone interesting, a fellow hiker who was 56, the dynamic was completely different from her past relationships. She maintained her own interests and friendships, and he found this incredibly attractive. He later told her that her independence and passion for life were what drew him to her most. Linda, 61, had always been told she was intimidating to men because of her successful career as a lawyer. She'd tried to downplay her achievements on dates, pretending to be less accomplished than she was. This strategy wasn't working. She was either attracting men who were threatened by successful women or men who she lost respect for because they were easily intimidated. The shift came when Linda decided to stop apologizing for her success and start looking for someone who would celebrate it. She began talking about her work with pride, sharing interesting cases she'd worked on, and being upfront about her professional achievements. This filtered out men who were threatened by strong women and attracted those who appreciated intelligence and ambition. She met her current partner, a 58-year-old architect, at a professional networking event. He was specifically drawn to her confidence and competence, and their relationship is built on mutual respect and admiration. What's particularly interesting about Linda's story is that she also stopped trying to be softer, or more traditionally, feminine, to compensate for her professional success. She remained authentically herself, strong, direct, and accomplished, and found someone who loved her for exactly who she is. These stories illustrate several key principles. First, the women who succeeded stopped trying to be someone else and started embracing who they actually were. Second, they built lives they genuinely enjoyed independent of dating. Third, they became more selective rather than less selective as they gained confidence. Most importantly, none of these women used tricks or manipulation tactics. They didn't play hard to get or follow dating rules. They simply became more authentic versions of themselves and attracted partners who appreciated their authenticity. The common thread in all these stories is that the women stopped operating from fear and started operating from self-worth. They stopped asking, "How can I make him like me?" and started asking, "Is this someone I actually want to be with?" And this shift in focus changed everything about their dating experiences. Chapter 9. Common mistakes that push men. Understanding what pushes men away is just as important as knowing what attracts them. Many well-intentioned women unknowingly engage in behaviors that create the opposite effect of what they're hoping for. Let's examine the most common mistakes and why they're so counterproductive. The first major mistake is overfunctioning in relationships. This happens when you do more than your share of the emotional labor, communication, and relationship maintenance. You might always be the one initiating contact, planning dates, or bringing up relationship issues. While this might seem like being proactive and caring, it actually creates an imbalanced dynamic that can make men feel suffocated or unneeded. Overfunctioning often stems from anxiety about the relationship. You're trying to control the outcome by doing more, but this backfires because it prevents the natural give and take that healthy relationships require. Men need space to initiate, to miss you, and to contribute to the relationship's momentum. The second mistake is emotional overwhelm. This happens when you share too much too soon or process your emotions out loud constantly. While emotional intelligence and openness are attractive qualities, emotional overwhelm feels draining to potential partners. This might look like sharing your entire dating history on early dates, analyzing every interaction, or needing constant reassurance about the relationship's status. Men often interpret emotional overwhelm as instability or high maintenance. They worry that they'll never be able to do enough to keep you happy, or that they'll constantly be walking on eggshells. This doesn't mean you should suppress your emotions, but rather that you should process them appropriately and share them at the right time and in the right doses. The third mistake is trying too hard to be relevant or current. This often manifests as using slang that doesn't feel natural, following trends that don't align with your personality, or constantly referencing pop culture to seem young and hip. Men can sense when you're being inauthentic, and it creates discomfort rather than attraction. Your appeal doesn't come from being current, it comes from being genuinely yourself. A 50-year-old woman trying to talk like a 25-year-old feels forced and uncomfortable. Instead, embrace your own generational experiences and perspectives. They're part of what makes you unique and interesting. The fourth mistake is comparison and competition with younger women. This might involve constantly bringing up your age, defensively, making disparaging comments about younger women, or trying to prove you're not like other women your age. This behavior signals insecurity and makes everyone uncomfortable. When you compete with younger women on their terms, you're already fighting a losing battle. Instead, recognize that you're playing in a completely different league with different strengths and advantages. Your life experience, emotional maturity, and self-knowledge are assets that can't be competed away. The fifth mistake is being too available too quickly. This includes canceling plans with friends for last-minute dates, being available 24/7 for texting or calls, or rearranging your entire schedule around someone you've just started dating. While enthusiasm is nice, this behavior signals that you don't have much going on in your life, or that you value their time more than your own. Healthy availability means being responsive and interested while maintaining your own life and commitments. You make time for someone you're interested in, but you don't abandon everything else to do so. The sixth mistake is negative self-talk in front of others. This includes constantly criticizing your appearance, apologizing for your age, or making self-deprecating comments. You might think this shows humility or prevents others from judging you first, but it actually teaches people how to treat you poorly. When you constantly put yourself down, others start to see you through that lens. If you don't respect yourself, why should they? This is particularly important for older women who might feel pressure to apologize for not being young anymore. The seventh mistake is rushing physical or emotional intimacy. This might involve having sex very early in dating, sharing deeply personal information before you know someone well, or pushing for commitment before a solid foundation is built. While intimacy is important, rushing it often stems from insecurity about your desirability or fear that someone will lose interest. True intimacy builds naturally over time between two people who are genuinely getting to know each other. When you rush it, You often create a false sense of closeness that doesn't have the foundation to sustain itself. The eighth mistake is trying to fix or change men. This might involve giving unsolicited advice, trying to improve their appearance or lifestyle, or believing you can help them reach their potential. While this might come from a caring place, it communicates that you don't accept them as they are and see them as a project rather than a partner. Men want to feel accepted and appreciated for who they are, not who they could become with your help. If someone needs significant changes to be suitable for you, they're probably not the right person for you. The ninth mistake is losing your own identity in relationships. This includes adopting their interests as your own, agreeing with everything they say to avoid conflict, or changing your appearance or personality to match what you think they want. This might seem like being accommodating, but it actually makes you less attractive because authenticity is more appealing than agreeability. The final mistake is operating from desperation rather than choice. This underlying energy affects everything else: how you communicate, how you behave, and how you present yourself. When men sense desperation, they instinctively pull away because it feels like pressure rather than invitation. All of these mistakes stem from the same root: not believing you're valuable enough as you are. When you truly understand your worth and operate from that place of self-knowledge and confidence, these behaviors naturally fall away. Chapter 10. How to develop this mindset. Daily. Developing the attractive mindset we've discussed isn't something that happens overnight. It requires consistent daily practices that reinforce your sense of self-worth and help you embody confidence naturally. Let me share specific strategies you can implement starting today. The first foundational practice is morning affirmations, but not the generic kind you might be thinking of. These should be specific affirmations about your unique value and experiences. Instead of saying, "I am beautiful," try, "I am a woman with rich life experience who has wisdom to share." Instead of "I am lovable," try, "I am worthy of a partner who appreciates my depth and maturity." Make these affirmations personal and authentic to your actual life. If you've raised children, acknowledge that. If you've built a career, celebrate that. If you've overcome challenges, honor that strength. The goal is to remind yourself daily of what you actually bring to relationships, not what you wish you brought. The second practice is maintaining a gratitude journal focused specifically on your personal growth and life experiences. Each day, write down 3 things you're grateful for about your journey to this point in life. This might include lessons learned from past relationships, skills developed through your career, or wisdom gained from overcoming difficulties. This practice helps shift your focus from what you've lost to what you've gained over the years. It reinforces the abundance mindset we discussed earlier and helps you see your age as an asset rather than a liability. The third daily practice is what I call self-dating. This means regularly doing things you enjoy by yourself without feeling like you're waiting for someone to join you. Go to movies you want to see, try restaurants that interest you, take classes that fascinate you, or explore hobbies you've always wanted to pursue. This practice serves multiple purposes. It helps you build a life you genuinely enjoy independent of relationships. It demonstrates to yourself that you're worthy of time and attention. And it makes you more interesting to potential partners because you have your own interests and experiences. The fourth practice is boundary setting in all areas of your life, not just dating. Practice saying no to commitments that don't serve you, speaking up when someone treats you disrespectfully, and asking for what you need in various situations. This builds your confidence muscle and helps you maintain self-respect in all relationships. Start small with low-stakes situations. Maybe you speak up when a friend consistently cancels plans at the last minute, or you decline an invitation to an event you're not interested in. As you practice maintaining boundaries in everyday situations, it becomes easier to maintain them in romantic relationships. The fifth practice is surrounding yourself with positive influences. This means being selective about the media you consume, the people you spend time with, and the conversations you engage in. Seek out content that celebrates women of all ages and stages of life. Spend time with friends who see your value and avoid those who constantly complain about dating or aging. Join groups or communities where your life experience is valued. These might be professional organizations, hobby groups, volunteer organizations, or online communities focused on your interests. Being around people who appreciate wisdom and experience reinforces your own sense of value. The sixth practice is continuous learning and growth. Take up new hobbies, learn new skills, or explore interests you've never had time for before. This keeps you mentally stimulated and gives you interesting things to talk about. It also demonstrates that you're still growing and evolving as a person. This is particularly powerful for older women because it contradicts the stereotype that life becomes less interesting with age. When you're actively pursuing new experiences and learning new things, you embody a vitality and curiosity that's incredibly attractive. The seventh practice is physical self-care that makes you feel good in your own skin. This isn't about trying to look younger, but about feeling strong, healthy, and confident in your body as it is now. Find forms of exercise you enjoy, eat foods that make you feel energized, and dress in ways that make you feel attractive and comfortable. The goal isn't to compete with younger women physically, but to feel your best at your current age. When you feel good in your body, it shows in your posture, your energy, and your overall presence. The eighth practice is mindfulness and emotional regulation. Develop practices that help you stay centered and calm, whether that's meditation, yoga, journaling, or simply taking regular walks in nature. When you can regulate your own emotions and remain centered even in stressful situations, it's incredibly attractive to others. This practice also helps you avoid the desperate behaviors we discussed earlier. When you're emotionally regulated, you're less likely to overfunction in relationships or seek validation from others. Remember, developing this mindset is a journey, not a destination. There will be days when you feel more confident than others, and that's completely normal. The key is consistency in these practices, not perfection. Over time, they become natural parts of who you are rather than things you have to remember to do. Chapter 11. The science behind lasting attraction. Understanding. The science behind attraction can help you appreciate why the mindset we've been discussing is so powerful. Attraction isn't just about physical appearance or even initial chemistry. It's a complex interplay of psychological, neurological, and evolutionary factors that favor the qualities mature women naturally possess. Let's start with the neuroscience of attraction. When we meet someone new, our brains immediately begin assessing them on multiple levels. The primitive brain evaluates threat versus safety. The emotional brain assesses compatibility and connection, and the rational brain considers long-term partnership potential. For lasting attraction, the kind that leads to committed relationships, the emotional and rational brain assessments are far more important than the primitive brain's focus on physical appearance. This is why the mindset and energy you project matter so much more than superficial factors. Research by Dr. Helen Fisher has identified 3 brain systems involved in love and attraction: lust, romantic attraction, and attachment. While lust might be triggered by physical factors, romantic attraction and attachment are driven by psychological compatibility, emotional stability, and what she calls the intrigue factor, the sense that someone has depth and mystery worth exploring. Older women who embody self-possession and confidence naturally activate the romantic attraction and attachment systems because they demonstrate psychological depth, emotional stability, and life experience that create intrigue. They're not easily figured out or conquered, which keeps the brain's reward system engaged. The evolutionary psychology perspective is equally fascinating. Our brains are wired to seek partners who will be good long-term mates and co-parents, even when we're past reproductive age. The qualities that indicate good partnership potential include emotional stability, wisdom, resourcefulness, and the ability to maintain long-term relationships. These are precisely the qualities that increase with age and life experience. A woman in her 50s or 60s who has successfully navigated career challenges, raised children, or maintained friendships over decades demonstrates partnership skills that a 25-year-old simply hasn't had the opportunity to develop yet. Dr. John Gottman's research on relationship success shows that the factors that predict long-term relationship satisfaction have nothing to do with age and everything to do with emotional maturity, communication skills, and the ability to manage conflict constructively. These are all areas where life experience provides significant advantages. The attachment theory research is particularly relevant here. People with secure attachment styles, those who are comfortable with intimacy but don't lose themselves in relationships, are the most attractive long-term partners. Secure attachment often develops through life experience, therapy, or personal growth work that typically happens in midlife. When you embody the mindset we've been discussing, you're essentially demonstrating secure attachment. You're interested in connection, but not needy. You can maintain your own identity within a relationship, and you don't require constant reassurance or validation. These qualities are incredibly attractive to emotionally healthy men of any age. The neurochemistry of confidence is also important to understand. When you genuinely feel good about yourself and your life, your brain produces different chemical signals. You have higher levels of serotonin and dopamine, which create a calm, positive energy that others can sense. You also have lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone that can make people feel anxious or uncomfortable around you. This biochemical state is literally attractive. People are drawn to those who make them feel calm and positive rather than anxious or stressed. When you're operating from genuine self-worth rather than insecurity, you create this positive biochemical environment in your interactions. The psychology of choice is another crucial factor. Research shows that people value what they choose more than what they feel they have to settle for. When you operate from an abundance mindset and maintain standards, you signal that choosing to be with someone is a deliberate decision rather than desperate settling. This psychological dynamic makes being chosen by you feel more valuable and meaningful. Men who are looking for serious relationships are particularly attracted to women who are selective because it indicates that their choice to be with them is meaningful and considered. The scarcity principle works in your favor here, but not in the way most people think. It's not about playing hard to get or being artificially scarce. It's about being genuinely selective and having standards. When you only give your time and attention to people who treat you well and meet your standards, your time and attention become more valuable. Finally, the research on emotional contagion shows that people unconsciously mirror the emotional states of those around them. When you're genuinely content and confident, others tend to feel more positive and relaxed in your presence. This makes spending time with you feel good, which creates the foundation for lasting attraction. Understanding these scientific principles helps explain why the inner work of developing confidence and self-worth is so much more effective than external strategies like trying to look younger or using dating manipulation tactics. You're working with your brain's natural attraction mechanisms rather than against them. Chapter 12. Overcoming age-related dating. Fears. Let's address the specific fears that many older women face when it comes to dating, because these fears can sabotage even the most confident mindset if they're not properly addressed. Understanding and overcoming these fears is crucial for embodying the attractive energy we've been discussing. The first and most common fear is the belief that men only want younger women. This fear is so pervasive that it affects how you present yourself, what you believe you deserve, and how you interpret men's actions. While it's true that some men have age preferences, the research shows that this is far from universal, especially among men looking for serious relationships. The key is reframing this fear. Instead of thinking, men don't want older women, try thinking, some men prefer younger women and those men aren't right for me anyway. You're not trying to attract every man, you're trying to attract the right man. A man who can't appreciate your maturity and life experience isn't someone you'd want to be with long-term anyway. Remember that men your age and older have often learned from experience that youth doesn't guarantee compatibility, happiness, or relationship success. Many have discovered that emotional maturity, shared life experience, and genuine compatibility matter much more than age differences. The second fear is running out of time. You might feel pressure to settle for less than you want because you believe your opportunities are limited. This fear creates the scarcity mindset we discussed earlier and can lead to desperate behaviors that push quality men away. Challenge this fear by remembering that quality relationships can begin at any age. There are countless examples of people finding love in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. Your timeline is not the same as everyone else's, and rushing into the wrong relationship is worse than taking time to find the right one. Focus on building a life you love now, rather than putting your happiness on hold until you find a partner. When you're genuinely happy and fulfilled, you're more attractive to potential partners, and you're also better able to evaluate whether someone is truly compatible with you. The third fear is physical insecurity about your changing body. You might worry that men won't find you attractive because you don't look like you did in your 20s or 30s. This fear can lead to covering up, avoiding physical intimacy, or constantly apologizing for your appearance. The reality is that men who are looking for genuine connection care much more about how you feel about your body than how your body looks. Confidence and comfort in your own skin are incredibly attractive, while insecurity and self-consciousness can be off-putting regardless of actual physical appearance. Work on developing body acceptance and appreciation for what your body has done for you over the years. Find ways to feel strong, healthy, and attractive at your current age, rather than trying to recreate your younger self. The fourth fear is competing with younger women. You might feel like you can't measure up to the energy, novelty, or physical attributes of women half your age. This fear often leads to trying too hard to seem young or constantly comparing yourself to younger women. Reframe this by recognizing that you're not in competition with younger women. You're offering something completely different. Your depth, wisdom, and life experience are advantages that younger women simply can't match. You're appealing to different needs and desires in men. Many men, especially as they mature, become more interested in substance over surface. They want partners who can engage in meaningful conversations, who have interesting stories and perspectives, and who know themselves well. These are all areas where your age is an advantage, not a disadvantage. The fifth fear is being judged for your relationship history. You might worry about explaining divorces, past relationships, or why you're single at your age. This fear can make you defensive or apologetic about your life choices and experiences. Instead of seeing your relationship history as baggage, reframe it as valuable experience. Your past relationships have taught you important lessons about what you want and don't want in a partner. You know yourself better now than you ever have, which makes you a better partner. Be honest about your history without being defensive or apologetic. The right person will appreciate your honesty and the wisdom you've gained from your experiences. Someone who judges you for having a relationship history probably isn't mature enough to be in a serious relationship anyway. The sixth fear is technology and modern dating challenges. You might feel overwhelmed by dating apps, social media, or the current dating culture. This can make you feel like you don't know how to navigate modern romance. Remember that the fundamentals of human connection haven't changed, even if the tools have. Focus on authentic connection and genuine interest in others. whether you meet them online or in person. Don't feel pressured to master every dating app or social media platform. Focus on the methods that feel comfortable and authentic to you. The seventh fear is vulnerability after being hurt in the past. You might be afraid to open your heart again after divorce, loss, or disappointing relationships. This fear can make you seem guarded or unavailable, even when you want to connect. Healing from past hurts is important, but don't let fear of future pain prevent you from experiencing love. Use your past experiences to develop better judgment about partners rather than closing yourself off entirely. Your ability to love again after being hurt demonstrates strength, not weakness. Remember that overcoming these fears is a process, not a one-time event. Be patient with yourself as you work through them, and don't expect to feel completely fearless overnight. The goal is to acknowledge these fears without letting them control your actions or limit your possibilities. Chapter 13. Building your support system. Having a strong support system is crucial for maintaining the confident mindset we've been discussing. The people you surround yourself with either reinforce your sense of worth or undermine it. So being intentional about your relationships and community is essential for long-term success. First, let's talk about the importance of female friendships. Strong relationships with other women provide emotional support, perspective, and accountability. They remind you of your value when you're feeling doubtful and celebrate your successes when you're thriving. However, not all female friendships serve this purpose equally well. Evaluate your current female friendships honestly. Do your friends support your growth and happiness, or do they contribute to negative thinking patterns? Some friends might unconsciously sabotage your confidence by constantly complaining about men, aging, or dating difficulties. While it's natural to vent occasionally, spending too much time in this energy can be toxic. Seek out friendships with women who are living fulfilling lives regardless of their relationship status. This might include successful single women who have built meaningful lives, women in healthy relationships who support your journey, or women who have found love later in life and can serve as positive examples. Consider joining groups or activities where you can meet like-minded women. This might include hobby groups, professional organizations, volunteer work, or fitness classes. The goal is to find women who share your interests and values, not just your relationship status or age. Professional support can also be invaluable. This might include working with a therapist to address past relationship patterns or limiting beliefs, a life coach to help you build the life you want, or a dating coach if you need specific guidance about modern dating. Don't view professional support as a sign of weakness or failure. Many successful, confident women work with professionals to continue growing and improving their lives. It's an investment in yourself and your future happiness. Family relationships require careful navigation. Some family members might have opinions about your dating life, relationship choices, or life decisions that don't serve your confidence. You may need to set boundaries about what topics you're willing to discuss and which family members' opinions you value. Remember that family members' concerns often come from love but may be filtered through their own fears, experiences, or generational perspectives. Take their input under consideration, but make decisions based on your own values and desires. Create boundaries around negative influences in your life. This might mean limiting time with people who constantly complain, judge, or criticize. It could involve changing the subject when conversations turn negative, or even ending relationships that consistently drain your energy. This doesn't mean cutting off everyone who ever has a bad day or complains occasionally. It means being mindful of the overall energy and impact of your relationships and making adjustments when necessary. Build a community that celebrates growth and possibility. This might include online communities, local groups, or professional networks focused on personal development, interests you're passionate about, or goals you're working toward. Having multiple sources of connection and support makes you less dependent on romantic relationships for validation and companionship. This independence is attractive and also makes you more emotionally stable and resilient. Consider becoming a mentor or support for other women who are on similar journeys. Teaching and supporting others often reinforces your own learning and confidence. You might become involved in women's organizations, mentor younger women in your profession, or simply be a positive example for friends who are struggling. Don't underestimate the importance of professional networking and career relationships. Having a strong professional identity and community provides confidence, purpose, and social connection that enhances your overall sense of self-worth. Finally, remember that building a support system is an ongoing process. Relationships change, people move, and your needs evolve. Regularly evaluate whether your support system is serving your growth and happiness, and make adjustments as needed. Your support system should inspire you to be your best self, remind you of your worth when you forget, and celebrate your journey regardless of your relationship status. When you have this kind of foundation, you approach dating from a position of strength rather than need. As we wrap up this comprehensive guide, let's summarize the key insights that can transform how men respond to you, regardless of your age. The mindset we've explored isn't about tricks or manipulation. It's about becoming the most authentic, confident version of yourself. The foundation of this attractive mindset is self-possession, knowing who you are, what you bring to relationships, and what you deserve. This isn't arrogance. It's quiet confidence that comes from accepting yourself fully, including your age, experiences, and the wisdom you've gained. Remember that the research consistently shows men are attracted to emotional maturity, life experience, and self-awareness, qualities that naturally increase with age. Your years aren't a liability. They're an asset when you embrace them rather than apologize for them. The difference between confidence and desperation cannot be overstated. Confidence is calm and steady and doesn't need external validation. It makes decisions based on your own values and maintains boundaries kindly but firmly. Desperation, even when it looks confident on the surface, carries an energy of neediness that pushes people away. Abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset shapes every interaction you have. When you operate from abundance, believing you have value and options, you naturally become more selective and attractive. When you operate from scarcity, believing your time is running out or your options are limited, you often settle for less than you deserve. Your body language and communication style reveal everything about your inner state. Practice expansive posture, direct eye contact, and purposeful movement. Engage in conversations from genuine curiosity while confidently sharing your own experiences and perspectives. Avoid the common mistakes that push men away: overfunctioning in relationships, emotional overwhelm, trying too hard to seem current, competing with younger women, being too available too quickly, negative self-talk, rushing intimacy, trying to fix or change men, losing your identity in relationships, and operating from desperation rather than choice. All of these mistakes stem from the same root: not believing you're valuable enough as you are. When you truly understand your worth and operate from that place of self-knowledge and confidence, these behaviors naturally fall away. Develop this mindset through daily practices: authentic affirmations about your unique value, gratitude for your life experiences, self-dating and pursuing your own interests, boundary setting in all areas of life, surrounding yourself with positive influences, continuous learning and growth, physical self-care that makes you feel good in your current body, and mindfulness practices that help you stay emotionally regulated. Understand that the science of attraction favors the qualities you naturally possess as a mature woman. Lasting attraction is based on psychological compatibility, emotional stability, and depth, not just physical appearance or youth. Address age-related dating fears directly. The belief that men only want younger women, fear of running out of time, physical insecurities, feeling like you're competing with younger women, worries about your relationship history, technology challenges, and fear of vulnerability after being hurt. Build a strong support system with female friends who support your growth, professional support when needed, healthy family boundaries, and communities that celebrate possibility and growth. The most important takeaway is this: you don't need to change who you are to become more attractive. You need to become more fully who you are. When you stop apologizing for your age, experience, and journey and start celebrating what makes you unique, you naturally embody the mindset that draws quality men to you. This isn't about finding just any man. It's about attracting someone who truly appreciates and values what you bring to a relationship. When you know your worth and refuse to settle for less, you create space for the right person to enter your life. Your age is not a barrier to love. It's a filter that helps you find more compatible, mature partnerships. The men who are right for you will be attracted to your confidence, wisdom, and self-possession, not despite your age, but because of what you've learned and who you've become. Remember, this is a journey of becoming, not a destination you arrive at. Be patient with yourself as you develop this mindset, and trust that as you grow into your most confident, authentic self, you naturally become more attractive to the right kind of partner. The mindset that makes men respond differently to older women isn't complicated, but it is profound. It's the recognition that you are enough, exactly as you are right now. When you truly believe this and live from this place of self-worth, everything changes, not just how men respond to you, but how you experience life itself. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Remember to like this video if it helped you, subscribe for more psychology-based dating advice, and share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your journey matters, your story matters, and you matter regardless of your age or relationship status. If this video resonated with you, I'd love to hear about your experiences in the comments below. What insights were most helpful? What challenges are you facing in developing this mindset? Your stories can inspire and help other women on similar journeys. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more content on psychology, relationships, and building confidence at any age. Hit the notification bell so you never miss new videos that can support your growth and transformation. Remember, every day is an opportunity to practice this mindset and become more fully yourself. You have everything you need within you already. Sometimes we just need reminders of how powerful we truly are. Until next time, keep embracing your worth, celebrating your journey, and living with the confidence that comes from knowing exactly who you are. You've got this.